and welcome to this week's reading for Good Juju for this week ahead of January 17th, 2016. So it was interesting when I was shuffling cards and picking the decks and everything. Two cards came out from the first deck that I was shuffling with. So I'm like, okay, you want to do two? And that appears to be it. So probably will help to flesh out the message more for each one, I'm thinking. So the first set was this butterflies on the back. This is the Healing with the Fairies deck by Doreen Virtue. So the first, or one of the cards, is Rise Above Problems. The second card is Be Honest with Yourself. So here's the two together. Can you feel like the take flight kind of message? That's immediately what I get out of this. Is boy, your soul team, again, the intention for this reading was a message for good juju, as I call it, like good vibrations, good feeling things to be thinking about. And as you do that, it raises the vibration of your energy, and then new things they're able to make their way to you. New things that are for soul expansion, things that excite you. And when I look at these, I just immediately feel like take flight. And it's like you're not even down in the midst of all of the gook that we deal with sometimes in a human life. You're really able to look to this brighter future ahead. And it feels like you really need to get real with your dreams this week. And I'd encourage you early on in the week, because we've got the gift of, 6 days ahead of here, Monday through Saturday. And even if you get this message later today, maybe sitting down and doing what's called free writing. Some people do this with their non-dominant hand. I'm not able to do that, but some people do that, or I actually sit at my computer and I just write what comes to me. And with the theme for you of what will help me to take flight. That feels very important. The motion in these cards is, there's no other way to put it than your soul is just dying to take off on something. It is really right there. And really thinking about that and doing the free writing and asking the question, and then notice what comes. Again, it really means quieting the mind and allowing whatever comes up to come up. Some people might decide to meditate on this question, but it feels like that question is key for you this week. What will help me to take flight? All right, so then the second set of cards was from the Flower Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue also. And wow, do we ever have major pink love energy. Look at these. Wow, just beautiful. I mean, that's heart chakra stuff. So the first is Pink Rose. Let your inner beauty shine. You are a brilliant example of God's love. Everything about you is perfect. So let your light shine and inspire others. The second card is First Step, the hydrangea. Breaking down this problem into tiny pieces makes it easy to take the first step. Just as with the first set of cards, your soul essence is wanting something to happen. There's something wanting to change that allows you to let that inner beauty shine more than it currently does. And it may feel overwhelming to you. Again, I would really encourage the same thing. Free writing on the question of what will let my inner beauty shine at this time. How can my inner beauty shine? What can I do to allow that inner beauty to shine more? And you can feel free to edit that question how you wish, but this inner beauty message is very important, I feel, for those picking this card. And then depending on what comes to you, whether it's through meditation, free writing, sitting down at the computer, if you work with cards, pull cards. If you want me to do a reading for you, happy to do so. What will make your inner beauty shine? And the answer might feel pretty big, is what I'm thinking, because then for them to say you need to break it down into small bits, it might be a pretty big move that's got to happen. It feels like a big shift, but you're needing to you can't swallow an elephant all at once in one bite. So breaking it down into stages. I know this has helped for me in all types of work that I do. I learned this from many of my supervisors in the past. Doing a staged approach where maybe you take this step and then you figure that out and you break it into little bits, like a project plan almost. You really have to become your own project manager, I feel like. But it's all based in love, because perhaps you're not feeling the level of love that you wish you were for yourself or from others, or your ability to give love to others. There's something there with all of this pink energy that it's not feeling satisfied. So I would say for good juju this week, it's really about thinking about that question: what will allow my inner beauty to shine even brighter than it already does? Okay? Nice. Then the third set of cards, this is from, I think it's the, Energy Oracle deck, I think it's called. I don't use these very much, so I honestly can't remember the names sometimes. I do like them, though. They're growing on me. So, wowza, you people who have this, first up is the World. That is the very last card of the major arcana in the traditional tarot. And then you have the second chakra, Archangel Ariel. All right, the second chakra is known as the sacral. And that is right, like kind of a little below your belly button. It sort of rules all of the reproductive system, our sexual drive, our passion. It's usually orange in color, which this card, it's a little hard to see, but is quite a bit of orange in the card. And clearly, I think inner child, this is where the inner child lives. And this girl, this angel, Ariel, she's very young. And it feels to me that around age 13, 14, somewhere in there, you had a dream. At one point, you had a wish. And what is that wish? What is that desire? What does that look like? Do you remember that? Do you remember what you enjoyed at that time? Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up? Because in some ways, we knew ourselves better then. We knew ourselves as a soul being a little bit more clearly than we do as we age, actually, because we become more conditioned and programmed as we get older because of the people that we're around and the way that we, the rules that we follow in society, the environments we find ourselves in, the people we interact with, the well-meaning upbringing from our parents, your spouse, your kids, all of that. It keeps piling on, and we get out of touch. So I'm asking you this week for good juju to really think back when you were about 13 or 14. That age feels very significant. You were going through significant changes in your reproductive hormonal system at that time. Perhaps what your body felt like, because I too feel there's maybe a little pent up energy from that time which is not unusual. Still hanging out with the inner child, and some of it can be in the form of anger. But there's a feeling to me that you need to connect back with that dream of, if you can possibly remember anything from that time, or if you happen to still have your diary from when you were that young, and really think about the world means that there was a part of you at that time that the world was at your fingertips. In the background here are these beautiful open water lilies, and it's like you knew that you could hop from lily pad to lily pad, and you could maneuver however felt right to you. And as we age and get into adulthood and being all responsible, we lose a lot of that. And so it's like your inner child is really speaking up this week for those that picked this card, and wanting you to remember that for good juju. It's never too late to revisit some of those aspects. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with work. It could be your mindset that you had at that time. Maybe you had your first boyfriend and you had this sense of love and power that comes through relationship. Or perhaps you were, another thing that's coming to me is really involved in an artistic project. And even in school, like a certain subject really caught your interest, or an interest that a friend had really, you were kind of looking into it, and then it got kiboshed over time. So really think about those years, 13 and 14, for those that picked this card, because that energy wants to re-inspire you again for good juju this week and moving forward. She's that younger version of you is really wanting to speak up right now. So that's cool. I've never had that before in a reading. Then for those that picked these cards, this is Archangel Raphael, the Archangel Raphael Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue also. And these beautiful cards. First is the Children card. And this says, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me to help children. And the second card is Stay Positive. And it is, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me be optimistic and take the appropriate action steps that support my health. So when I look at this, I'm feeling like you might be worried about the children in your life, whether they're your children or other children in your life. And the key to everything being fine is to stay positive. And I feel really led to say something that I learned when I was doing a little work for myself, for my son, is that my team said to me, well, Kat, all it takes is a change of perspective. All it takes is for you, the way you look at him, and it can transform. He almost transforms before your eyes, because he's feeding off from the energy that you're offering, and it goes round and round and round. I see this with riders and horses that I work with. The horse is picking up from the rider, and okay, I've got something to worry about, so I'm going to act out and I'm going to do this, and then the rider gets more anxious, and around they go. And the children in your life really need you. They're looking to you to be this. Doesn't this feel like a favorite uncle almost, or maybe even a grandfather figure? They want that sort of playful side of you to come out, and that you've got all the abundance there in your basket. They just know that you got it covered. When they're around you, you're their steady Eddie. You're their, steady Susie. That you are their rock, and you bring them delicious goods for their life, whether that's through your emotional and mental support for them, or physical support and financial support. But kids really, really play off from the emotional aspect. So it does feel like they always look to you in that way. And so if you can just stay positive and know that your energy impacts them, and it impacts the way that they respond to their environment, because they are constantly reading, really just like horses. I've really seen this big time. They're always responding to their environment. They're checking the energy, because they do rely on adults for their safety and for their well-being until they're old enough to do it for themselves. And even then they still rely on their parents or on the adults in their life, whoever that may be that they look to. It's their go-to. So that feels like the message in terms of good juju. I think what I want to say is that you hold a very important place in the lives of children who know you. And they really look to you as a pillar, as a beam of light. And the kids nowadays really, they're tuned to this, and they feed off from that. It's very helpful for their energy. And I just want to tell you how much you mean to them. And that by staying positive, it not only helps you, but also you're really helping them. You're helping them to see that you can be positive even through perhaps a difficult situation, that you can somehow persevere, and showing them that through your own example is perhaps the biggest gift you could give them, way beyond anything that is material or otherwise, even emotional, even love. It's your example and showing them that this can be done. And I got this, because they already feel that about you. So I hope that's helpful to everybody. As always, I do give paid readings if you're ever interested in that. I wanted to announce too that I will have a freedom therapy course coming up in Enfield, New Hampshire. And if you're interested in that, let me know. It is working with horses, but you don't have to know anything about horses to attend. It's learning about the energy system that I like to teach, and dowsing all in one day. It's a big power pack day. And I'm still thinking about if I'm going to set up some dowsing classes. A little hard to schedule those. So if you're interested, it would be helpful to hear from people, and then maybe I can collect a group and see what dates could work coming up. So, and lots of other opportunities, such as learning how to use cards, essential oils, working with crystals. There's lots coming up. So stay tuned, and thanks so much for being part of this reading this week. I wish you very good juju for the week ahead.